JB fan. I just want to confess something. Seems like most of these videos have people who join the Sea Org to help other people or mankind in general, yourself included. In spite of how wonderful this sounds, it never motivated me at all. When I joined the Sea Org, it was entirely for selfish reasons. I believed I would get the whole bridge for free, and I stayed away from all SO recruiters until gold recruiters came to town. I really wanted to learn and use state-of-the-art sound recording technology because I am an audiophile, and I had heard of clear sound. I saw gold as the perfect solution to all things. Get the tech under my belt and get the bridge for free. I had no thoughts for the people of the planet. When I failed my sec checks I got during the EPF and was rejected for gold, the main reason I stayed was because I had burned my bridges behind me, having sold my car and spent my little remaining cash. I had no confidence I could just leave, find a job and a place to live. I was stuck, so I stayed. During the ordinary trials of Sea Org life, I never heard people talking about fulfilling their purpose of helping people. These were just things that got mentioned at events, etc. So I don't know just how self-sacrificing the average SO member really strives to be for the public. I don't know, maybe I'm just selfish. What say you? Yeah, you selfish bastard. I don't know. You know, my experience with joining the Sea Org was that I did it because it was the responsible thing to do. I was doubling down on my beliefs in Scientology and the efficacy of the tech and the policy, and that's why I joined. I felt an obligation and a duty to do it. So that was my thing. Now, if I go back to when I first joined staff, though, in Santa Barbara, that had more to do with status than it did with saving the world. I was 17 years old. I was fresh out of high school. I didn't really know anything, and I had no real-world experience of any kind. So I thought that saving the world sounded like a great idea, and I did want to be part of something that was doing that. But on a more immediate basis, I joined staff because I was going to be trained as a senior course supervisor, and I was going to have a higher status than anyone else in the local Santa Barbara church. I was going to have to go down to LA, get this special training from Sea Org members, and then I was going to come back and be this kick-ass course room supervisor. So that motivated me to join because I thought that there would be some status involved with that. I also thought that we'd get paid. I did not realize joining staff that it was a voluntary job and that I'd be struggling for the next 8 years trying to make ends meet. I had no idea that was going to be the case. I thought staff got paid. And so I was looking forward to getting money. And it was a huge problem for me when I found out that wasn't really the case. And I'd made this commitment and had to honor it. So those were a couple of the motivations for me to join staff. I am sure that there are plenty of people in the Sea Org who had your experience, and I'm sure there's plenty of people in the Sea Org who had mine. I talked to many people during my years in the Sea Org who were very dedicated because they truly thought that what they were doing was changing the world for the better. I know lots of people I met in the Sea Org who also didn't really care too much about the planet or people in general. They were kind of introverted, angry, upset people who were, you know, and I used to wonder, how did this person even get here, you know? Because they were just these like kind of grumpy old men and stuff, you know, or grumpy old women. I mean, just people you were kind of like, wow, how are you even here? You know, it doesn't really seem like we're on the same page, but they were just as dedicated to being in the Sea Org as I was. And I've had, you know, conversations over the years with people who are in and since leaving, you know, people who left the Sea Org. So, you know, I don't know if it's a spectrum. I don't know that I'd call it that. I think I would just say that people who come into Scientology and then go into the Sea Org do so for individual reasons. And I know as a recruiter, I mean, I recruited Sea Org members for a year. And I got 11 or 12 people in the Sea Org, I think 11 of them in this year period of time. And I got a lot of people on the staff. And I pushed the Save the Planet narrative. I made a whole video about what I used to do with that. And I went into quite a bit of detail about it. And I laid out this whole, you know, doom and gloom picture of the planet going to hell in a handbasket and the Sea Org being the only people who were turning this whole thing around. So that was my motivation. That was the motivation that I knew from a lot of other recruiters as to why they had joined. So I think that's where I kind of got the idea that it was a fairly widespread thing, because that was my experience with it. But I'm not here to say every single person who's in the Sea Org or in Scientology is the epitome of altruism, and they're only there for purely unselfish reasons. I mean, getting the bridge for free was definitely a motivation for me to join staff, because I knew I wasn't going to have tens of thousands of dollars to pay for all this stuff, and I didn't really want to go make tens of thousands of dollars just to pay for this stuff. But working as a staff member, that sounded okay. Make money, get up the bridge, have status, have people respect me. I mean, these were all personal motivations I had that had nothing to do with saving the planet. So, and some of that went along with joining the Sea Org too. So, so it's okay with me. I'm not going to call you out as being a, selfish pig, because that is one of the appeals of Scientology and the Sea Org. So that's what I can say about that.